Esto es Warp Talks, el podcast de Warp, en el que creamos un espacio de diálogo vivo con los nombres que marcan el ritmo en las diferentes industrias creativas alrededor del mundo.
Hey Stephen, how are you?
I'm well. What is the geodesic dome on top of your refrigerator?
The what? This?
Yes.
I found it here in, this is out of Mexico City, like an hour, a place called Cuernavaca.
Yeah.
It's like Palm Springs for Los Angeles, something like that. So I found this in in an antique place. I don't know the full story about it, but it's amazing because it has like a little door, so you can put some stuff for lights or whatever.
Little triangular door.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it's super cool, and we got to repair it because it was with a couple of glasses broken. But now it's full functioning. So I'm in the kitchen. Where are you?
In bed.
That's nice.
Here's the dog.
I don't know if I have interviewed someone that is in bed. Actually, probably yes, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't really have anywhere else to sit right now. So here I am.
Where are you? Where do you live?
New York City.
So you are in New York City.
Yeah, Greenwich Village.
That's amazing. Well, that's a good point to start, because everything has changed in the last years, and now we're doing interviews like this, and it's a common thing. And actually, I think it's a pretty cool thing because we get to be in the intimacy of both of our lives for just a few minutes. But how has been for you? You know, in all this time. Let me grab my dog also. This is Hendrix.
Oh, hello.
He's old.
Edgar is 7. He's medium.
Well, how has been for you these strange times?
Well, I got COVID on the first day of the pandemic being announced by the World Health Organization, and I've had long COVID ever since. So I haven't finished a song in 2.5 years, but I finished the lyric a few days ago, and now I have to finish the melody of it. It's exasperating. I wish I were like Taylor Swift and able to be creative in the middle of the pandemic, but I actually had a neurological problem that prevented me from doing that. And I went to the neurologist, and they put me on Adderall and Ritalin.
Oof.
I can't remember which was which, but one of them spiked my blood pressure to 199, and the other one made me narcoleptic. So both of them, and I was on child doses of those, not even a normal dose. So that didn't work. Nothing has worked. So I'm gradually digging myself out of the neurological hell produced by COVID. Don't get COVID.
Well, I didn't get COVID. At least that I know.
Yeah.
But that was tough, man. I mean, we realized that we're so fragile, and suddenly you can do the stuff that you regularly do, and things have changed a lot. But I'm wondering, how did you connect again with the idea or the possibility, even physically, to play again and to be on stage and to take the project. I suppose that it was very necessary for you.
I could be on stage asleep. I don't need my brain to work to be on stage. Good thing too, because brain's not quite working, but I can be on stage. I was worried that was not going to be the case, but I was able to rehearse, so I was able to be on stage.
Okay, so you were like rehearsing and probably not doing new music, but trying to be active through all those months.
Right. I haven't done any new music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't finished any new music.
And
with one exception, actually, I did do a 10-minute instrumental piece incorporating a lot of field recordings. During lockdown, I have dogs, so I was always allowed outside of the house. You're allowed to walk the dogs. So I live near Washington Square, and I made recordings of Washington Square, and there were Black Lives Matter demonstrations happening, and lots of sirens. And I don't know if this happened outside of New York, but in New York, at 7 o'clock every evening, there would be the 7 o'clock applause, where people would make noise in appreciation for the emergency workers.
Yeah, yeah, that happened also in Mexico.
Yeah,
yeah, for a while.
I thought it was a good idea, and so I recorded that as well. And I took my new Moog 1 synthesizer and made instrumental noodling, basically, in between. So I didn't have to write a song. I didn't have to write anything formal. And so I was able to make a 10-minute piece of music without my brain working normally. And I haven't listened to it recently. I don't know how it went.
You have it there only.
Yeah.
You didn't release it, right?
I didn't release it. It was released through some company's website. I'm forgetting entirely. I don't remember very much about the time when I barely remember making this piece of music.
Yeah, those kind of times are always like a big cloud for a lot of people. I still have, in this house, I live in the city, but I have this house and I spend the most of the time here. And I sometimes I can't remember like the day by day here. I remember like general things, but not very specific, because I have the sensation that we storage that in a very different way than the regular life, let's say it like that. But you're
like when we go on tour, it's not just me. Basically, all of us remember the first 3 days of tour, and then nothing. Like we only remember if something goes wrong. But like we got into a plane, the plane landed. We don't remember that.
It's like Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah. If we get into a plane and something horrible happens, we'll definitely remember it. But the tour is the same thing again and again. So we may enjoy it at the time or not, but remembering it is basically impossible. So I take a lot of photos so that so you can remember through the photos.
when you were doing music at the beginning, late 80s, 90s, etc. Do you remember how was used to be? Like how was the process, the first tours, etc.? Do you have memories about it?
We didn't actually tour for a few years. For the first two records, we didn't play live at all. It was me and Susan Anway, and she lived in Arizona and I lived in Massachusetts, so we lived 3,000 miles away from each other. So the possibility of our playing live was nothing. But I didn't want to play live, so that was fine. I still don't want to play live. I would rather just visit everywhere and talk or something. Like Brian Eno does. Brian Eno does, in fact, tour. He just doesn't perform.
And when you get to play live for so many years after that period, the beginning, do you feel that the playing live, probably because you're doing a lot of, from my perspective, a lot of experimentation, or some things that you have planned before, some noises, sounds, atmospheres, did that factor, playing live, determine something for your next recordings? I mean, did you get to discover something on your live performances that you took to the studio? Then did that become a practice or something like that?
Well, so I have hyperacusis, which is a disorder of particularly my left ear, where I can't really be on stage with a drum kit.
Okay.
So when we play live, we are definitely not a rock group. We don't have a bass guitarist. We don't have a drum kit. We are guitar, ukulele, cello, and synthesizers and drum machines. And we sound more like a folk group than a rock group. And so playing live without a rhythm section has made me more aware in the studio that I don't need a rhythm section. So a lot of the time we just don't have drums. If we don't need them, we don't have them, which I think makes us unusual. Most people, in order to play with each other, they need percussion to play along with, so everyone knows where the one is. But we don't have that, and it's really hard to not have that. So we have really long sound checks so that we can all hear each other. So it's a pain, but it's better than my losing my hearing.
Yeah, and then when you are doing music through the times, do you prefer, or how's the dynamic? Are you always alone doing some stuff and then put the orchestration around it, or are you? I mean, have you been working with your own team or the band? How's the creative process? I try to understand.
I record my own instruments first, usually, and then record the rest of the band as I see fit. But like a lot of the time, all you hear is me. And then some of the time, I'm not on the track at all. Like in my theater music, the record has my name on it, but I'm not on the record. I wrote and arranged it and recorded it, but I'm not performing on the record.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. But when you have to sing or something, you only record it, but you are not playing. You only play like the bass, like the demo.
Right.
That's amazing. Why do you like that?
You know how a lot of people don't like to hear their voice recorded playing back? I'm one of them. I would prefer not to sing on my own records, except the Gothic Archies. The Gothic Archies is my band that actually takes advantage of the fact that I sound like I'm slowed down. I sound like a normal person slowed down. On the Gothic Archies, I don't speed myself up, but on everything else, I do actually speed myself up. I'm actually sped up on 69 Love Songs. There's a song Xylophone Track where I sing a low A, like a Russian bass, and we pitched it up so the song is in B flat. So I still sound like I'm slowed down, but yeah, you can't tell.
But
I think so. But I am in fact sped up.
Yeah, but I think it's super cool the way your voice hears in, you know, like this low voice on the albums. I really like it. I'm pretty sure that it's something that you can recognize from the magnetic fields, but also the lyrics and the atmosphere and the world, the sound world that you can find in your music. And I think that's pretty amazing. How do you get to put the lyrics on these ambience and these specific sounds that you provide with ideas that you have with music? Are you first writing the lyrics, or are you doing the music and the orchestration first?
I write the song and then I record the song, and sometimes those are years apart. I never write in the studio. I think people who write songs in the studio are spending too much money. I don't want to work that way.
So when you go to the studio, you have certainty of what you are going to do, or what you're going to record.
Yeah. Things may change a little bit in the studio, but not the lyrics. Not the melody. What can change is the tempo, actually. Sometimes I realize that the song does not need to be that slow, and we speed it up. That happens a lot. But you know, mostly I write a song and then a few years later I put it on a record.
But sometimes it takes years.
Yeah, for 50-song memoir, I deliberately went back through my oldest notebooks, and the oldest song on 50-song memoir is 26 years old, I think, at the time.
Whoa.
Now it's even older.
And how are you preparing yourself for the tour that you're doing in Latin America?
I am not.
But probably mentally, or you know, like you're thinking on those, or you prefer not to think when you have a tour?
Well, actually, I'm in the middle of buying an apartment 2 blocks away from my current apartment, and that is taking up all of my brain space.
That's
so
tough.
I'm not thinking about anything except the apartment. It's a full-time job. It's
They say that
time-consuming.
besides pregnancy, moving is the most stressful thing that you can experience in life.
Yes. Whenever a friend of mine is about to move, I remind them that moving is one of the 5 leading causes of suicide, and that they should not beat themselves up. It's really important not to beat yourself up while you're undergoing that much stress.
Did you get to how many years have you been in this apartment?
2. So
it's not that bad.
I was in this apartment for 2 years. I was in the previous apartment in the same building for 1 year, but that was a studio apartment, and a studio apartment with 2 dogs and a recording studio is not a good idea. Not for long. So I went down 1 floor and down the hallway into a 1-bedroom. But I've lived in this building since 2006. When I moved to LA, I bought an apartment in this building, so I've been here for 14 years.
14 years.
14 years?
Are you still discovering things that you were like keeping with you? Are you a keeper in terms of things and like moments through the years, etc., or are you like lightweight to move?
I have 9 storage spaces.
Well, that resumes everything.
Yeah.
Well, but we are very glad to have you here in Mexico and Latin America again. We don't get to see the magnetic fields very often, so I want to tell you. Yeah.
First time I've ever been to Mexico, and yet I'm actually going back in January for a birthday party. So I'm going to a birthday party in Puerto Vallarta.
Ah, that's nice. Have you been like holidaying in Mexico?
I've never
before?
been in my life. Nope.
Wow. So you're gonna have two visits to Mexico in less than a month, and you haven't been here in your whole life.
Right.
That's nice.
I'm hoping the same thing will happen with Japan. Like, now that I'm traveling a lot, maybe we'll go to Japan somehow. But not yet. So I have an anecdote. When I was 4 years old, my mother and I drove across the country, America, in a station wagon. Drove to California and back from New York, and we drove through New Mexico, and I learned about the culture of New Mexico, but I didn't realize that we weren't in Mexico. So until 3 or 4 years ago, I always thought that we had gone to Mexico, and that, of course, I'd been to Mexico. I'd been there when I was 4 years old, and then my mother told me we weren't in Mexico. We were only in New Mexico. You've never been to Mexico. So anyway, here we go. I'm looking forward to it.
That you're actually coming to Mexico.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to the altitude. So I'm arriving a day early.
Yeah.
City to acclimate myself to the elevation, because I can't breathe as easily at high altitude, and singing is about breathing. So in order to sing the show, I need to be there early.
Yeah, it's best for you to be at least 1 or 2 days before. Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah, so hopefully I will be able to actually enjoy myself for a day while gasping for air. But I'll bring my inhaler.
Let me know if you need any advice or any any company for have amazing food or whatever you want to do.
I don't know where we're staying, so I can't get any advice until I know at least vaguely where we are. Like, I don't know if we're staying in the airport or near the venue.
No, you're gonna be in the area around the venue. I'm pretty sure. It's a perfect area.
We usually are, but sometimes we stay like in an airport hotel. If we have an early morning flight, we end up needing to stay there. So I don't know yet where I'll be. I've been told that I must go visit pyramids and such, but they're not in Mexico City. So I need to be in Mexico City acclimating. It's like an hour. Yeah, but down, right?
Yeah, a little bit down. Not that down, but it's not Mexico City. If you're planning to stay before at least 1 or 2 days, probably you will find amazing things to do in the city.
Yeah.
So you will enjoy it a lot. I appreciate that we get to talk and to meet you. I'm a really, good fan and someone that appreciates your music and what you have done through the years, and the sound that you have provided for a couple of generations, because there's also a good influence for music in general. So I'm really glad to meet you. I'm looking forward to see you playing live in Mexico.
Hopefully we'll be able to meet people after the show.
Yeah. Let's try to meet, and I'll send you the best wishes for your moving.
Thank you. I will not commit suicide in the process of moving.
No. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks a lot, Stephen.
Suscríbete a nuestro podcast y escucha las entrevistas más relevantes de WARP en WARP Talks.